and welcome to all of our guests there on the Waterville Valley website. And bear with me for a note, and I'll get my notes out. Mark, just to be clear, what you sent out basically contained the agenda for today, information regarding the agenda, and there was copies of the 2 minutes. Were there any other attachments? I didn't see any others.
There were four
emails.
Right, but you said you put them on Dropbox.
Yeah.
And then I put the
all
entire thing on Dropbox.
Right, okay.
In addition to the 4 emails.
Right, because I picked up the one from Dropbox, but
Yes, that has everything in it.
okay. All right, let's see. And today's September 11th. Okay. Here we go. Privilege of the floor. Well, I don't think we have anybody here today, so.
Do you want me to read this correspondence?
No, why don't we wait, we'll hold on
Or
and.
take
we'll
those correspondence?
Yeah, or we'll take it as, privilege of the, essentially, issues that the selectmen want to raise. So we'll do, first of all, we have approval of minutes from 2 meetings, right? First, approval of the minutes from the August 21st meeting,
I have a problem there
okay?
because the minutes note my departure and then later on they have me seconding your motion.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, I didn't pick that up. Is your departure correct at that time?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, then we can
It could have been that, because I do them in the order of the agenda
Yeah.
going down.
We could probably surmise that it was Mike who approved it, or seconded it, or I seconded
Let me see,
it.
Well-
what was the item?
Yeah,
Well, it's item 8, new business, is where it shows me leaving the meeting. And then item 9 where they have old business and all of the Mark Nieder recommendations.
yeah.
That's where Mike recused
Because we jumped
himself.
around on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we, okay, did
Were
we,
you here for
did we
that?
do that first?
Yes,
I thought
we
we
had.
did, I
We
thought
had.
I
Were you here for
remembered,
that?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I was.
And I put in
because
where you
and
left
I
at
approved
where.
Mike recused
Yeah.
himself.
So
Yeah,
So
So,
let's move
okay.
her departure until after
Until-
item 9.
after
item
item
9, yeah,
or prior to item 9? That was, oh, after item 9.
after item 9.
Okay.
Right.
Because I thought I remembered voting on it, but I said, wow, that's pretty good.
Well, we'll replace
You're
you.
very kind.
All right, do I hear the motion to approve the minutes as amended? Or are there any other changes and additions?
I didn't see him.
I didn't see any either.
So moved.
Okay, second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And-
there's a set of minutes from the previous meeting
Right.
that we
July 24th.
postponed from July 24th. I was not present,
Yeah.
so,
I didn't,
I just saw one little typo on number 6, the calendar review. There will be only 1 meeting for August. Just says there will be only meeting.
oh, okay.
Only
That's it.
one. And we ended up having,
One.
we just ended up having one.
All right, so do I hear a motion then to approve those minutes as amended?
So moved.
Second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Let us, go back then to financial update.
You have a copy of the financial update
Right.
there. Departments are doing well. We're 69.2% through the year. The recommended budget numbers for revenues reflect the MS4 modifications that we made at the August meeting. And the only other item that is a change from last time, if you go to the bottom of the expenditures, debt service principal and interest numbers are different than they were last time because I had the bond anticipation note interest in the interest numbers. I've moved it to to the tax and bond anticipation note line item.
Mhm.
That money is an administrative cost in the rural, it's an eligible administrative cost in the rural development loan program.
Okay,
We have not, to date, used it as a eligible expense. We have paid for it out of the operating budget each year. Totally up to whatever you would like to do, but that expense is about $15,000 that we could move to the rural development loan program. It's part of the budget.
is
So,
this, would this get moved, it gets moved to the loan program,
yes, it's in the
but
fund.
it's not to the part that's forgiven. So it's
That's
just a
correct.
question of whether we're taking it out of current cash or whether we're indebting it, right?
Well, it is part of the budget to get us to our 55% number so that
Right.
we can get into the part that's forgiven. So it's part of the overall budget. We have an administration allowance
Right.
that is part of the project overall.
So
So it's,
so where you put it, does it affect, let me try this again, does it affect in any way the cash that in effect the residents through taxes have to pay, depending on where we put it?
if we leave it where it is,
Yeah,
it comes out of the operating budget, comes out of general
taxation, right,
If we put it into the grant program,
right,
it gets us to the 55% number of
okay,
the total project cost
right.
that much quicker. If we
Okay.
don't do it, then
So
we'll
we-
be 15,000 short
Right.
of getting to our
Right.
55%.
So we wanna do this.
So we would want to
To
move
do
it
this.
over,
Okay.
I think, but I'm leaving it
Is,
up to
is that the total amount that we can take, or?
That's the total amount because that's the money, Mike, of interest that we're paying on
Okay.
the notes.
Gotcha, so
On the
that,
short-term
that
notes.
brings us current on what we borrowed for the
That's
project.
correct.
So that, we paid it, we'll get reimbursed that,
That's
it'll go
correct.
towards the number before we start our reimbursement.
That's
So there's no reason to let it hang out there, it should go where
Right.
you have it.
And I can
Okay.
move it to the other fund, that's,
Well, I'm fine, okay.
Okay.
So you don't need anything with that?
no, I don't need any, I just
Could
wanted to.
you spend
make
a few
sure-
minutes talking about the other item? This is the refund of the health government thing, or whatever it is, the
Yeah, the health
insurance
trust.
premiums, health trusts, and as to whether to add that as income or to credit it as an expense, is that the
Right.
decision?
That is the decision. So we received at the beginning of the year approximately $11,000
Right,
for reimbursements on premiums that we paid in 2000, up to 2013. So that's what they
so
owed
it's
us for the
all
current
money
year.
that's coming back that actually was for premiums paid in previous years?
That's correct. And now the $38,000 was for 2010, 11, and 12.
Right,
Because when they paid the 2013 premium reimbursement, they were then ordered they lost the case at the Supreme
Right.
Court, and they were ordered to immediately pay back to 2010. So that's why we received the second check. I believe, I'd have to check the exact minutes, I did not look at them before this meeting, but we talked about it and we decided to take the 11,000 because it was in the current year budget,
right,
and we applied that back to the departments.
right, that's a
Okay,
credit.
as a credit.
But this portion is for previous years.
This portion is for previous years. So we can do it, it'll go to fund balance because it's unanticipated revenues. We can adjust our revenues again at tax rate setting. So it would come off, in effect, it would come off the 2013
Is
tax
there-
rate.
But it has
Or
the
we can
effect,
leave it.
if we issue it as a credit, of in effect, increasing the budget for this year a little bit.
It would lower our expenditures on this
Right,
year's,
this
on this
date.
year's budget.
We need the money.
No, we're not in any right now, we haven't had any issue with the bottom line of the budget. We're well within the bottom line of the budget.
My feeling would be that since it's previous years, we ought to list it as an income, an unanticipated income item, as
Okay.
opposed to a credit. But
Yeah, I wouldn't say.
unless there's some rationale that says we really do need this money
Well,
to
if,
spend this year,
Well,
I mean,
What I think this money should do, because we have, this says on the check memo here, it says, 2010.
yes, 10, 11, and 12.
But it just says only 2010 on this, on the check side here.
Okay.
Just give me-
Yeah.
Yes?
otherwise, what we're doing
Hello?
is, in effect,
Yes?
by the back door, kind of
Yeah.
slightly increasing the budget. And I know it's not a lot of money, but in effect, we're increasing the authorization for what we can spend. That was not anticipated. So given my druthers, I would put it in.
Oh, sorry. It's right
It
here.
must be under something right
It's
there.
under the piece of paper.
Wouldn't that be fun if I answered it?
It'll stop.
Because it's for previous years, whatever way we want to do it, that's fine.
Okay,
And it doesn't matter because if we don't use the money,
right.
like if we
It goes
do
to fund
credit,
balance anyway.
it goes to fund balance anyway. So it
Right.
doesn't matter. It's gonna go to fund balance either way.
Right.
Unless we increase our budget estimate on revenues because we put it in revenues, then we can lower the tax rate by the 38,000.
Well,
But that's
I don't
up to
know if
you.
we want to aim for 38,000.
What about taking the money and putting it aside, just holding it to the left-hand side for now? And then put it towards our insurance bills going forward, because it came out of insurance. Earmark it
We
specifically
can
for
do
it.
that, Mike. It's just we have to take that to town meeting and get authority, but we can in essence do that.
Right, you just put it in fund balance for now,
That's fine.
with a memo that we know it's there.
So Mark, what about the question that Mike raised about how it's only marked as 2010?
When they sent us the email, they said it was 10, 11, 12. I will call and ask because I don't know why it says 10.
Well, yeah, I don't,
Because it's supposed to be for 10, 11, 12. That,
But the letter only says for 2010 surplus.
that is, yes.
But you have to, once you cash this check, you gotta post it one place or
I
the
gotta
other.
put it somewhere, either revenues or against the line items.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with putting it in revenue.
If you don't
And-
anticipate spending the money, I think my guidance would be to put it against revenues.
Revenue.
I'm fine.
Because otherwise, what we're doing is just increasing the budget a little bit by the back door, and I just as soon not do that. Because it gives us, wiggle room, and sometimes I always.
Well, you can always come back and if something
And-
happens.
and change
you
our
can come
minds?
back in November,
Right, put it
December
in
and change
revenues.
your mind.
Yeah, for the time being. Okay, and if along the lines of what Mike said, I mean, if there's some rationale to do that, if that makes sense, we'll go ahead and do that.
You can
Anything
earmark
else
it
on financials?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Unless, do you have any other questions on the departments or?
Well, no, I do not.
Mark, does it make sense that the surplus would have been 33,000 for 2010 medical? Just 2010 medical? 33,000? Doesn't
I
make
don't
sense?
know how, no,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. It should have been around the 11,000 for each
Okay.
year.
Okay.
Because our share, if it's only for 1 year, I don't understand how our share can be 3 times what it was for the
Yeah.
single year.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why when I read the email, it was 10, 11, 12, it made sense that
Mhm.
38,000 was
Okay.
the amount. So,
Okay, department head updates? We'll start with you, Jim.
Nothing really to report as far as things going around town.
Well, we have this bid, right?
Questions for me? Yeah, I thought we were
We'll cover that, why don't we cover it now, and then we can get you, there've been several bids on the tank, right? And
yes,
your recommendation is the low bidder, or I assume it's checked that they're competent, or,
yeah, attached to your financial report is a letter from Joe Ducharme.
yeah?
We have ensured that the bids have no omissions or errors. Both companies are registered with the Secretary of State's office. They're in good standing. The bonding agents are registered with the New Hampshire Insurance Department, so their bonds are good. Penta Corporation is the low bidder. They have over $100 million of wastewater facility work in the past 5 years. And Keymont was number 2, and they have $15 million of projects over the past 5 years. Joe did not have an opportunity, by the time I was coming down to the meeting, to have spoken with their listed references. He'd like to do that.
Okay,
I'd like if it's okay with the board, I'd like a conditional approval of Penta Corporation unless Joe finds something with the references that's a problem, but we don't anticipate anything. He has worked with Penta Corporation before and been very satisfied.
you have any questions?
Out of my.
Margaret?
No, I'm good.
I'm gonna make we'll make a motion to, pending satisfactory approval of the references to award the contract to the Penta Corporation for the wastewater treatment tank installation
For 129.9.
for $129,900.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye,
And the 129.9 does include the ad alternate amount,
okay.
which is the painting of the floor around the tanks. And then if you look on this sheet, which was in your packets, I just
Right.
broke down the budget, just to give you an update of where we are with the budget. We have $219,500 for tank fabrication, the 129.9 for tank installation. We have $35,110 for valve and compressor replacements that are related to the tanks, and then $37,500 for our engineering contract. So right now, with no change orders and no contingency use, we're at a total project cost of $422,008, which means we're $77,992 under budget. So
Okay,
I would just, this is something to think about. When we finish the project, whatever money we have left from the bond authorization, I would like to, at the end of the year, the last week of December, I would like to write a check to Meredith Village for that balance, okay? Because we can't use, this was a bond authorization, so we cannot use this money for anything else. So I'd just like to pay it back. There's no sense in paying interest on it if we're not going to,
so in other words, you have to bond what we authorized.
we already bonded it.
Oh, it's already
Because
bonded.
we had a budget, an initial budget of the 500,000. So we bonded the entire 500,000.
Can you use it to pay off any bond, or would it
No,
have?
you have to,
You
it
have
has
to
to be used for
specifically
this
have to be,
purpose.
what's the interest rate on this bond?
2.95.
Jesus, I don't know. It's awfully low, right?
Yeah, but I'd say pay it back, let's get rid of the
Pay it
debt.
back.
Pay it back? All right.
So we can talk about that later, but I just wanted to mention that now so that we're not.
Wasn't there something about this where we talked something about ultraviolet needed was an option? Was that
That's in
something
the
That's
treatment on the
Oh,
new well.
okay.
Yep, yep.
But it's a 2.95, do we have any bonds outstanding that have higher rates of interest that could be prepaid?
We do, but we're not, this money can't be used for debt service.
Yeah, but if we don't spend it, it goes
Right.
into the unfunded balance, and we can pick it up next year and use it any place,
Yes,
you
we
know.
could.
And as long as we can get the town to authorize
That's
the refunding of
Mhm.
some bond.
Yep.
So I don't know, maybe for 3% interest versus what's the next highest bond that'd be out there?
We don't have, I don't think we have anything that's above 3.75 right now.
It's probably not worth the paper.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. Why we've got you going, you want to talk about this issue, Mike, where we got him here with Neil Grover?
Yeah, well, you've got a Jim, a copy of this, just
Yes.
guys, please address it for me.
Yes.
The dumpster.
We are aware of this.
There's a copy of the records.
We discussed it, at the end of last week. And, I am presently looking into, options as to
Right.
what can and cannot be done, given the condition of the present dumpster enclosure. I mean, if we have to, write, the Silver Fox a letter saying that they have to replace the whole thing, or whether they have to replace.
Whose
the
enclosure is it? Is it theirs or ours?
Upstairs.
Oh,
To the best of my knowledge.
it's their enclosure, so Neil actually he's complaining, this is a private matter.
No,
Why
not
it's
quite.
not quite.
Why is it not a private matter?
Because in
There's something
2000
else.
when Neil first brought this to me in 2010,
Yeah,
we were just starting the recycling project.
right,
And the town was looking at redoing all of the dumpster enclosures
That's
around town. That is why I told him 3 years ago, the town is working on it, we've got an overall plan for all of the enclosures, which included existing enclosures
right.
and revamping them. At that time, we had wooden doors on the dumpster enclosure at the Silver Fox. They were very large, they were very heavy, they were breaking their hinges. We replaced them as an interim with the small metal enclosure or gates that we now have on that enclosure to get rid of those old wooden things while we figured out what we were going to do. We just did the enclosures for Town Square and the other commercials last fall. We
Using
did
money
not-
from the
Using the
appropriation.
money from the appropriation.
Okay,
We did not address the Silver Fox because we still weren't sure. We were trying to set up a co-located spot with the conference center and discontinue the use of that enclosure where it is.
okay,
We can't do that because Tor's operation, when he brings all of his housekeeping stuff down, they come into that basement hallway and it comes right out to the dumpster enclosure. There's no way for him to get trash upstairs without a lot of machinations and over to a co-located spot with the conference center that's agreeable to both of them. So we have abandoned the co-located spot. And Neil came into my office last week and he asked me about it again, and I said, we finally have a decision and we'll start to try to figure out how to replace those small gates on the enclosure. So that's why it has been 3 years. I understand his frustration, but we've been
right, okay.
working.
So we're gonna fix those gates
We're gonna
because
fix
it's
those
part of
gates.
our,
It-
doing all the
And
commercial.
I
dumpsters.
think that we should,
Okay.
because we fixed other
Yeah, no, I have no
commercial.
problem
Is
with
that
that.
okay, right?
That
And
makes sense
is
to
it
me.
clear to the commercial establishments that, as to who owns the responsibility to continue to repair these going forward?
Yes, going forward, they repair them,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
We have told them that,
All right,
So we
Okay.
can just get something to say to Neil that the town will be replacing them.
sure.
Great.
well, we'll be
I
doing
will.
something.
Okay,
Well, we've got you here, Jim, you want to talk about the trucks?
Sure. I have, we finally decided to move forward with what we, we're given permission at town meeting to move forward to the purchase of a new, 1-ton dump truck outfitted for plowing, just like we have the other one.
And the 5-ton is being retired, or,
And the 5-ton hopefully is going to be retired, yes.
okay?
You have that as a trade-in, don't you?
Well, number one, it's hard to trade it in for another truck because of the state pricing situation. And then number two, the problem with the trade-in or the wholesaling of that truck to the vendor that we do business with for our vehicles is that they don't take anything over 19,000 GVW, so that puts that truck out.
Okay,
So what we are looking at doing is, I've got pricing for a gas V10 or a diesel-powered unit.
Mm-hmm.
The diesel-powered unit is approximately $7,000 to $8,000 more money, which puts us over budget.
Mm-hmm.
I have comparable pricing for all the attachments and the wings and the plows and everything else that go along with that. That's comparable from two different vendors that we've done business with in the past. One of the vendors is interested in trading the spreader and maybe one or two other implements for the truck, for the
Okay.
big truck. And he will be here tomorrow, and I'm going to discuss that with him.
Okay.
And if we could do an outright trade for implements needed to a certain value that we're happy with for getting for that truck, I think it would be a pretty good deal.
What do we think the truck is worth?
Wholesale wise, I would put the value at somewhere around $10,000. The only thing, the cab and the chassis are in okay condition. The cab is in good condition. The engine is in good condition. The chassis is in okay condition. The spreader in the back is stainless steel. The body of that, the spreader itself, the container is in good condition. The chain needs to be replaced, and probably the hydraulic motor would have to be replaced. The wing and the plow are junk, and the body is junk.
So,
None of which was new.
right, but what
Well,
they're
that
willing
truck
to
originally.
trade is what you believe is trade of comparable value? I mean, are you gonna get 10,000 worth of stuff?
I believe so.
We're gonna ask for up to $12,000.
I won't know until
We won't know until
we sit
tomorrow.
down and I chat with him tomorrow, but,
You have a problem?
No.
No?
so.
Fine with me?
So
The only other thing is that if we can put this together, I know I'll be going over the $75,000
By how much?
expenditure.
$1,862.
We can cover that somewhere on
In
the
the
expense
operating
side.
budget.
And that's to go to the diesel.
The diesel would be preferable. We can maintain a diesel truck. Do we have diesel trucks and engines now?
Cheap and feeling on the roads.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, the biggest thing with the diesel is that you're going to have more torque, less RPMs, more torque, more power,
More oil changes.
hopefully.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna change the oil more frequently, right, yeah, but that's the only downside.
But that would be, I think it'll be outfitted similarly to the truck that we have now. Wing plow, 3-yard sander. You know,
The diesel ought to be, I mean, I don't know who makes the diesels for whoever you're buying the truck from, but it ought to be more durable than the gasoline engine.
Yes.
And less expensive top.
I don't have any, you have any problem?
No.
All right,
Okay,
So can we get a motion to enter a contract to purchase a diesel-powered 1-ton with body sander and plow gear? And the total expenditure will be $76,862. And authorize us to use the large plow truck as, with a minimum trade value of $7,500.
Quick question before we go with that. How much do you think all the other stuff you're gonna have to load on the truck would be if we didn't have a trade?
It's in your packet.
Mark, I've got that. It's gonna be on the order of $42,000.
$42,000. The sander, the plows, everything else is $42,000.
Everything that goes on the truck is more expensive than the truck.
Okay, so all in it's 76,000.
All in, everything.
Okay, I just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure there's nothing above that.
No.
I thought maybe there was another 10,000 worth of stuff you were gonna get for trading in the wing and all the other crap. I mean, highly serviceable equipment that we've maintained quite well.
Right.
Right.
okay, Mark did you catch that? Because I couldn't repeat it all. do I?
No, it's just
It's-
right
it's
here in
worded.
the action recommended.
Yep.
So the essence is, it sets a limit on the maximum you can spend, which
Right.
is the extra $1,800, right?
Correct.
And it defines the minimum acceptable on the trade at 7,500. So if
That's
they're not willing to offer you comparables of 7,500, you
Then
don't
we'll
have
come
enough
back to
money.
you. We'll come back to you.
All right.
Right.
You're okay with that,
Sure.
Margaret?
Yep, I am.
Okay. So I will so move what you just said.
Yep,
Copy
it's
it
in-
again.
it's in here.
Right. Do I hear a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have any other trucks? You got another truck?
Well, we are in the process of, we were authorized to purchase I think it was $24,000 at town meeting, to purchase a utility vehicle. And we're presently pricing options for that out, whether it's a totally enclosed RTV, like the Kubota that Chris has now, or a slightly heavier Bobcat type unit of the same type of vehicle. Mark and I have talked quite extensively about, do we need a small pickup truck, or is this the best way to go? And I think that the utility that we have now has been so very, very handy for us in our
The orange
situation in
Kubota.
town.
Okay, so we're talking about Kubota, we're not talking about the little car,
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
which we called the utility vehicle.
Well, let me
Well,
ask a
yeah,
question
it
about
was the town car, right?
Kubota used from the standpoint of public safety. Does a public safety use the Kubota?
Yes, they do.
You do?
Yeah.
Because somehow, I don't know, I kind of got the impression that the Humvees replaced the Kubota and that we were using it to haul grass, mowers around and stuff. But you're
Well-
saying you still need that Kubota plus the Humvees?
Yeah.
Okay,
So we have 2 Kubotas?
two
We,
Kubotas.
we would have, yes, one for
Well,
public works and one for,
the situation is this, is that Chris has been good enough to help my department out, or
Right.
departments out, with the lending of that, and really, and it's been, we use it.
What do you use it for, John?
Well, if I send up a man to do the cemetery, the library, and Stone Tower, goes up on the Kubota. If I send them out to well 3 to mow out there, they use a Kubota. If we don't have the ride and mower available to go out and do that. The ride and mower goes in one direction, the Kubota goes in the other, and that's how we
And
get around.
why is that preferable to a pickup truck? It would seem to me that all the places you've just talked about, you could drive a pickup truck there.
Well, there's quite a few places that we go that pickup trucks not.
Yeah, like what?
I mean, we can, with the Kubota, we can cut across town, we can go in a lot of different places that we have to maintain a lot easier and quicker.
And it's more fun to drive. See, that's the,
Well, that is one of those side things that does come up, and I
Because the
was
chicks do
waiting for that, but
right.
yes, it is more fun to drive than a pickup truck. However, it is a lot handier.
And would public safety benefit from having an extra one around for a real emergency?
I mean, we could always benefit. It's my understanding too that the public safety Kubota wouldn't necessarily get any less use from MSD once they got their own. Is that?
we
No, I just use
have a
the
need
new
for
What's
property
that?
I
maintenance
just use the new one, so you
to
get
be
less use.
all over
Right, but
town.
you'd still.
well,
On
it's true, but
trails
and I mean, we're gonna defer to, again, here to your judgment, but, I mean, it's usable for 6 months out of the year. What are you gonna do with it in the winter? I mean,
Well, the one that he's talking about will have an
But it'll
enclosed
be a
cab.
year-round vehicle.
It'll be a
it'd be a
year-round
year-round
vehicle.
vehicle.
Yes. Unlike the current Kubota, which does, in the winter, have some challenges if you're gonna use it.
I don't know, do you have any input? I mean, the town authorized this, I guess
Yeah.
the town authorized it, but,
Well, believe me, as Jim said, I have been the proponent of a pickup truck. I
right,
have been, but we haven't gotten rid of the town car. If we need to go down
So-
to handyman
Okay, so we still
hardware,
have the town car.
we
Right.
still have the town car.
Okay,
And we're planning on keeping it. If we have to go down to handyman hardware, if we
Right.
have to go get a part, we can run down in the town car if we need to.
do we have we don't have a small pickup truck, do we?
No,
No,
I'm just wondering, what happens if, we gotta take a lawnmower or something to be fixed, or do we fix them internally?
we have a 250 and a 150 pickup. I mean, we just
You just
use
take
if
the
I
bigger
need,
trucks.
Bigger.
it goes in the back of my truck on the way home, because usually it's
Okay,
Yeah.
I just,
something. Or if it goes on a longer trip to Haverhill, if we have to, to the John Deere dealer over there, you know,
Going with
that's
them.
something that you're gonna take a pickup truck to anyways. But that's, most of our parts are delivered,
Okay.
um,
Now, I'm just thinking uses for it, that,
Yeah, no, we've
no,
Had
it's,
those
no, it's,
conversations,
and it's
thank
good to
you.
have the exercise because,
been talking about it for months.
I'll, defer to your judgment. The downside is we're going to have, and you're gonna have to be prepared, residents saying, why in the world do we need two of these things? I mean, I can just hear it now, do we really need two of them?
well,
You know?
there's another aspect of this, that we're not actually, we're not quite sure what type of maintenance we're going to need on National Forest property once the wellhead is in, that facility is in place, that, is about
So this
4,000
would be, you'd
4,000
be able to
feet
get
of-
out there,
To
With
well
that.
for.
maybe.
Oh, yeah.
better be.
You could barely walk out there right now. Have you been on the Greeley Ponds Trail lately? I doubt if you could get a Kubota across it right now. It's in pretty bad shape.
But I mean, that's, looking ahead
Yeah, assuming the
pickup
Forest
truck
Service
doesn't make
actually
sense
fixes that.
for that, you know?
Yeah, but well 4 is just off of,
Off of,
Yeah.
Red Feather Trail, not really.
Oh, okay, all
Right.
right.
Yeah,
But it's still pretty torn up.
Well,
I wouldn't wanna take a pickup out there.
Do you have any concerns, Mark? No? Okay, there you go.
Right?
We'll leave it up to the judgment of the town management as to what they want to buy. Right? So you can go back to your argument of pickup versus Kubota and whatever you
We're
come up
not
with is
done
fine
yet.
with
We'll
us.
continue in the morning.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right.
Anything else? Gee, I did notice that, that they've dropped the bridge for the Greeley Pond out there. Did you say there's a
Yes.
huge steel decking? How, do you have any clue, because a couple of people asked me, how in the world are they gonna move that out to where they need it? Are they helicoptering that thing?
Crane.
You can barely hike up this
I
trail
know,
now.
I know, but there's a,
They're gonna carry that out in a crane? Good luck.
should smooth the trail out a little bit.
Well, they apparently are, they're gonna have to smooth the trail out a lot
Yeah.
to get a crane up there. All right. Okay,
The only other thing that I have, I believe, is, Noon Peak, but that's under old business, so.
I think that's already done, right? It's done deal. If you've got, we voted last time that it said, assuming you got the easement,
We did. Did you
you
take?
got the easement,
We
we've
did.
authorized it. It's a
Okay.
town road. As far as I'm concerned, we do not need another vote. I think we already voted on it.
Yeah.
All right,
So as long as the easement's satisfactory to you, Mark,
it is.
that's fine. I think it's done. So I don't think we need to
Okay,
talk
we're
about it.
good. Thank you.
All right. Public safety? Anything going on?
it's been, after Labor Day, it's time
Quiet.
to take a breath. We're doing, a lot of, maintenance and, repairs on equipment. Hose testing, ladder testing, things like that. We have, our next Coffee with a Cop coming up on Monday at the golf course.
What?
Monday, okay,
Monday.
good.
16th,
What time?
I believe it's 9 o'clock,
All right,
I think it's 8:30.
8:30. 8:30.
all right.
Other than that, our calls are pretty much in line with last year. Nothing major. We seem to have a lot of carryouts this year for some reason. But hopefully we'll get a few Columbus Day and see how those go. But other than that, it's pretty good. BBTS has the green light to start their project. They were all,
So that BBTS thing is approved?
yes.
Okay, so
The
they not only
building
submitted
permit.
the application, they approved the application at the last meeting?
The building permit process, the building permit has been approved.
Okay,
So you
this
may-
is in terms of building the
the training center.
training center?
Yeah.
Okay,
So you may see some activity up there in the next week or so.
okay,
There's a new building permit issued for Osceola Road. It's actually Stutzman's property.
60.
60 Osceola Road. They wanted to have a driveway put in off of Osceola Road, but Jim and I decided that there was a safety issue there, that they couldn't, because you'd have a new driveway, a driveway and Ray Lane all within, 40 feet of each other?
Right.
So they're gonna use a right-of-way to the property that's adjacent to Ray Lane to go in
Okay.
there, so you'll see activity.
Which property is that? Is that the one with the gazebo?
No,
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 back this side of Ray
the other side of Ray Lane.
So the one in front of McGrain's when you first pull in there?
Nope,
No,
it's
it's
not
right
even on Ray
Oh,
Lane,
okay.
it's
It's
just,
on
Just
Osceola's.
before the cul-de-sac
It's on Osceola.
with a sign that says High Country,
Yeah,
just before that,
there's a road that parallels Ray Lane, a driveway that parallels
Okay.
Ray Lane, on our side,
okay.
and they're going in there. So,
Okay. Chris, why don't we talk about this now? We were talking about a little bit this before. The other day I was walking through Nelson's Path, and you get to where they were proposing to add Green Peak Phase 2.
Yep.
And someone, I assume the Waterville Company has gone in and cleared the land, and they seem to have installed the base of either a dirt or a gravel road, extending the existing road up to the edge of the path now.
recently or last?
I have no idea when this was done.
There is, they did make some accommodations for the horse
This is
sleigh
a fairly,
last fall.
would you
No,
go
this is
take,
new.
this is, I don't know how new it is, but
Okay.
there are pipes
horses
lying out
from last
there,
fall.
there are,
They
looks
did it
like
last
sewer, sewer connections and pipes lying
Okay.
around out there
So they're
now.
using it as a
They
stockyard?
must.
I don't know what they're
Well, we
doing.
gotta look at
Okay,
it
I'll
because
take a look at
I.
it.
Could
my
you go
reaction
take a
was
look
the
at it?
same.
It seems to me that what they have done is a lot more than you would need to do to get a horse or a
Okay,
carriage through there, and it's a road to nowheres right now.
Yeah,
It's
right.
just, it terminates at the path,
okay,
when you go in the
can't put the horse
woods.
on the path and
Right.
have them go
Right,
either
right,
way
right,
on the
right.
path.
right,
yeah.
no, I'm thinking, I would,
thinking of that.
the other side. So,
Yeah, no,
that's-
this is between the current development, the edge of Nelson's Path.
Yeah.
And
So
it
this
seems
is
to me they
something-
started, it has all the appearance of someone who started, saying, well, we're gonna go get approval, let's get started.
Okay,
And they started cutting stuff down, which in my interpretation, the site plan review regulations, you can't do
Right.
that.
so this is above and beyond what they did for the initial cut for the project?
Right,
I think
Okay,
so.
okay.
Yeah, but I need you to take a
All right,
look at it
Okay,
and advise us as to whether, I think it's clearly beyond the bounds of what was approved
okay,
prior. But, and it raises the issue that we're gonna struggle with, which is, we've talked about, is we don't currently, the site plan review, not site plan review, the subdivision regulations say that before you can clear any land, you're supposed to come and get approval,
Mhm.
right? But that's the only reference we have any place about clearing land, and as to whether we need to put in place an ordinance that says that if you've got a piece of subdividable land, that before you can clear it, you're gonna need to get a clearing permit. So, or otherwise, people could run right over
Absolutely.
wetlands, run right over historic, I mean, the issue here is there is a cadre of people that wanted to preserve Nelson's Path. And they came pretty close to just taking it out.
Bill Kalin is on record at some point saying that Nelson Path is a critical access to Town Square. I don't know if that was a planning board meeting or
Well,
what, he said he will
Yeah,
absolutely preserve that or relocate it if necessary.
Right.
But,
right. But that's a decision for the planning board. But I'd ask you to take a look at it, because it would seem to me that if this is beyond the bounds, that at some point we ought to consider a cease and desist order on them and tell them, tell us what you're gonna do to get this back to what it was.
okay.
Well,
see,
I know
that-
he's not gonna replant trees, but there's a lot of pipe lying around out there, and it's
Yeah,
kinda like a
that needs to
junkyard.
be cleaned up.
But can I ask a question? Just looking at this. If you own a piece of land
I know what you're
and you
gonna
have
say.
trees on your land, you can take the trees down.
Yeah.
Right.
It has
That's what
nothing
we
to do-
talked about, Mike.
It has nothing to
Right.
do with the subdivision or anything else. It's-
Well,
it's
I
your
would
land.
continue, yeah, and I think what we need to debate is on land that's subdividable, do we want to do that? Or otherwise, what you're going to do is have people clearing and filling wetlands, Well,
I understand you can't fill a wetland, but the,
No, you-
well, if you don't have a regulation in place, you can.
oh, really?
Yeah, that's
if
the
it's your
problem.
land, it's your land.
Oh, no, see, I'm used to other states where.
Subdividable or subdivided?
Subdividable.
Okay.
So in other
That-
words, if
that's
you
the
own
problem.
if you own an acre,
lot.
if you own a lot, I don't have a problem. But Terry, for instance, is proposing an amendment that basically says that you need to define the building envelope, and you can't touch the land outside the building envelope. Well, there's no sense having that if we don't have a thing that says you can't touch your land, period.
But
Without some reasonable input to it.
But if you have a building envelope, and you want a better view of the mountain, and you got some trees to take down.
You can't cut it down now.
Well, I'm thinking of my friends, the O'Riordan's. They took down a ton of
Yeah.
trees on their lot to get a better view, and I know other people have come in. And,
That's
Right.
because there's no regulation.
There's
They
no
can't.
regulation now.
but how can, well, it's an interesting
It
point about
is.
how we can regulate private.
And it's one of
Because-
those things that I cringe when a developer comes in, they have one lot, and they say, can I start cutting trees? And I said, I hate saying it, but I'm like, yes, you can.
You can, but we ought to
Yeah,
consider
we need to regulate.
whether we need an ordinance that says if
4
it's
feet or-
subdividable,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you need to come in and get a cutting permit. Because we did have one incident now where somebody went and started cutting trees and they cut trees down in a wetland. I know, and now it's, what are you gonna do? It's all
Yeah.
done, you
But-
know?
yeah, no.
And then you get to this issue, the planning board is supposed to be preserving historical landmarks, and I know one of the areas that I'm very concerned about is there's somebody who wants to subdivide the land that borders the fourth or fifth hole on the golf course, and they could literally cut all the trees right to the edge of the golf course down. And
Because
I'm
they
not
own
so
right to the
sure
edge of the-
that
Yeah, no, I
we're gonna give them
understand, I
authorization
understand
to
what
do
you're
that.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But unless there's a regulation, they can cut the trees down. It's
yes, they
their
can,
land.
Right.
right.
And
But
that's
he can't
part
build a
of-
road,
But
which
then
is what
we-
he
Oh,
appears to have done.
Then we
I
have
bet
to
you on that,
decide
I-
as to what type of how we're gonna regulate it. Like, I mean, I understand the wetlands part, like
I think we'd have
But-
to define.
I
a
can,
certain size or
See, even-
height or.
Yeah, I think we'd have to
Yeah,
say
well, that's part of
trees
the
under
percentage.
certain diameter you could clear, but if they're over this diameter, and we'd have to give you parameters.
Yeah.
And the parameters would largely be, is this potentially an historical section of woods that should be reviewed with the planning board prior to doing it? Are the trees over 5 inches in diameter?
Yeah.
Because part of that is to get them to preserve as much of that as possible.
Mhm.
To cut it all down, you can't preserve it, so it's I don't know what to do. But anyway,
no, it's-
take a look
it's
at it.
tough one.
Okay.
And when you get into the historical thing, that happened where I live in Mass, and they wound up making every street except 3 historical and scenic roads.
Well, it happened with that stupid stone thing next to you. What's to prevent somebody from tearing the tower down?
Because you guys own it.
Right?
Oh, I got a new, thank you, you just brought
Stone
up
tower.
something.
Yes.
While we're on public safety, when you're done, I'll get to mine.
Okay, go take a look at it, Chris.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I've got a couple of public safety ones. The first one was, I got a tremendous amount of complaints about the Kelly signs this weekend.
Yes, I
Being
heard
on,
it too.
being on public land.
Yeah.
Were any permits asked for that? I think the people who put them in need to be notified that permits
I
were required.
believe political signs
Signs.
don't
No,
require a
political
permit.
signs don't.
But isn't it only during the time before and after an election, isn't there?
I think
An
Mike is
event.
right, that it does deal with during the election
Yes, it
period.
does, it
Well,
has to
well,
come down
typically-
after, within so many days and can only go up before.
Right, typically,
But that's on your own property. Putting it on the town's property, and all this stuff was on Cantlin's land, and I didn't talk to him about it. It's his land, the tent was on there, so I'm sure he didn't have a problem. But where people, and I said that to people who complained to me, the problem people had was coming down 49 and seeing all those signs
So
on
it's
town
state
and
land.
state land.
okay, state land, we can't really,
But were there
Yeah,
any
they-
signs on town land?
I didn't see them, I don't know, there
Okay.
probably was.
Yeah.
But historically, we've allowed signs up for a day event for,
Well, but they've gotten permits though. They've gotten, we've got one.
Well,
today.
Even a one-day event, we do ask
Yeah,
for
we've
a
Okay.
permit.
been
if we
asking
can do it.
Political or political?
Well, no, because, but
But I'm
The
not sure this
political
was
sign issue has been at the time of the election,
Yeah.
when we've had it before.
Right,
This
but it has
is
to
the
be-
first time.
It can't be on, it has to be on your
Right.
land.
We'll make
Right.
sure it doesn't
We'll,
happen.
we'll make
Yeah.
sure it's on private
Yeah.
land.
All right, and my other public safety one, which is public safety, public works, everything, there's a big woodchuck that lives in the stone tower. That
Oh,
is-
knock it down.
That is driving, we
The
know, crazy.
neighbors,
We know, crazy. Is there a way we can get rid of it?
I can give you a have a heart trap to
Oh,
take
Got
this
that
one's gonna
big
need to
trap.
have a hard
Oh,
elephant set, bigger. Oh, yeah, about like that.
There's a big one.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
big one. I have one.
Yeah.
You ever catch one? I caught one.
I
of
don't
these
wanna
guys
catch
one
one.
time. No, you do not wanna
No, we
catch one.
shop.
They
We
are
don't
nasty and they stink.
What do you?
Let me tell you.
what would you-
And you gotta move them 10
carrot
miles
or
or they'll be right back.
lettuce, Tomatoes?
It's
Give
eating
him
the
a
clover in
mixed
my yard. That's what it does. It goes out to munch on the clover. But it is big and fat.
It probably lives under your porch as well as. in
No,
your-
no, it goes right to a point in the stone tower. And I've thrown mothballs in there. You probably ate them.
That's why he's so big.
Yeah. No, mothballs usually do well to get rid of varmints.
We'll try to trap it.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any cats or anything?
DeVoe, no, we'll call DeVoe.
Yeah, you know it's gonna end up in there as Guido.
No, well, that's the thing. Guido will smell them at 3 o'clock in the morning and go screaming at the window and wake everybody up. And the other thing, just to go while we're with Chris, we have a meeting next Wednesday at 9:30 with this triathlon group that wants to come in and think about doing something on a large scale.
How did the event go the other day, the half marathon and the rest?
It went very well.
Was it well attended?
It
Seemed to
was,
be.
they had 120-ish
Yeah, good.
participants. And
Great.
it went real well. The guy was happy and hopes to come back next year.
Okay.
That's about 50 more than last. So that's good.
All right. Let's see. Kind of going out of order here, but let's take some of the simple things. Calendar.
I'm not here next week. I mean, the 28th,
The 28th or 25th?
25th.
25th, okay.
I will be here the 25th.
I won't be here the 25th.
You will not. And I am leaving shortly thereafter. That's the problem.
I could move it to Tuesday if need be. I'm just out Wednesday
Yeah,
afternoon.
Tuesday would be great because we have 2 bids to
Are you gone for the week, Marty?
decide on.
I'm gone for 2 weeks starting the 20th.
Okay.
Okay.
And I am gone for 2 weeks starting the 4th of October. So I'm going to miss the first week. So if we don't do the 25th, I definitely will not be here on the 8th or whatever that is.
Can I call in?
Only if there's a majority here.
But could we do?
Could we do it on Tuesday,
I could do Tuesday. Let me just do
the 24th?
24.
Yeah.
What time? Margaret, yeah, that's not. That's,
No, I can call in. I'll
You
be
can
in
call in?
Atlanta, but I can call in.
All right. Tuesday. Then,
Jim will
3
be
o'clock.
and then the meeting on the 9th, I will not be here for the meeting on the 9th. But, and I cannot call in, but we could go ahead without me.
You won't, will you be back by the 9th?
Of October? Doesn't sound like it.
I can be. I have to be down in New York City on the 10th, but
We could do it the 8th.
Would there, is there an alternate date that would be more convenient to you? I mean,
I can make any of those other days.
yeah, I mean, I can, the 9th, would
leave it
put
at the
me in a
9th. Why don't we leave
situation-
it at the 9th, Margaret, and if you want an alternate date, get a hold of Mark, and he'll contact.
Well, again, I could call in on the 9th.
Well, I'm not gonna be
Yeah, but you
here,
won't be
so
here
then we don't have
tomorrow.
a quorum, so
Right.
we
Right.
physically can't meet. Should we postpone it to the 16th?
We will have 2, I think we have another, bid due that day.
The 9th?
We've got, on the 25th or the 24th, whatever day we meet, we have the meter pit installation bid,
The second round.
right, or the, yeah,
Oh, just the pit piece,
the
right?
pit piece. And then we have the water main, the water main from the well back to town property.
Okay,
So both of those are in September, and then I believe we've got another piece for the first meeting in October, but we can, I'll check with Joe tomorrow morning.
I can be here on the 9th.
All right.
I just have something to go to the evening of the 10th in New York City, so
If you
it's
want to do it
gonna,
in the morning, so you have more time.
yeah, that'd be great.
Would that be okay, Mike?
Sure.
all right, so we're gonna move the meeting on 10. First of all, we're gonna move the next Wednesday meeting to Tuesday, the 24th, at what
Correct.
time? 3?
That's
Still
it.
at 3 p.m., that's all right.
Whatever's convenient to you.
Yeah.
It's September 24th, right?
Right,
Right.
on the 24th. And the meeting on 10/9, we're gonna move to, we're gonna stay the same, but we're gonna do it at 9 AM?
Good.
Correct.
Wait a
10/9 at 9 a.m.
Okay.
And so Margaret will not be here for the 20th. Oh,
But I'll
Fourth,
call
and I will not
in,
be
you'll
here
have a
for the
call in on the
majority, and I will
24th.
call in.
and Bill will be out on the
The 9th,
9th.
right. Then I'll
But
be
I will
back
be
then by
here.
the 23rd.
Okay, good. So we'll have a majority, or should have a majority.
All right.
10/9 at 9, right?
We've got some MS5 signatures.
One couple more things on the
Sure.
calendar. On the 18th, a week from today, we have the
Oh, I
rural
saw
development
that,
staff
right.
coming. Do you want to meet with them as a
No.
board? We'll post it for a workshop meeting if you would like, but they'll be here for several hours.
Is that gonna in any way help?
They can answer any questions that you might have. I just, and it doesn't have to be a formal meeting. If you can come, we'll set up a time. I just need to post it if a quorum of the board is gonna be here, that's all. And it doesn't have to be an open
I don't-
meeting in the sense
I
that.
just don't know what we're gonna lend to that other than to
Just
foul it
make
up.
more confusion.
Right,
Okay,
it's my feeling. You know, because we'll ask questions and then who knows where, you know, what good that's gonna do.
okay.
All right? If you need one of us, because appearance-wise, you know, it impresses the officials, I'll be more than glad to come in on the 18th, you know, but just let me know.
All right. They'll be here for a lot of the day, so.
Okay,
Oh,
we've got an MS5 review and signature.
The MS5 is basically a state form that restates the audit
Right.
each year, and you are required to review it and sign it as a board. And so I have the form, I put it in your packet, and I have it right here. I don't know if you have any specific questions, but it's prepared by the auditor, and it's based on the same information that he uses to prepare the annual audit. So I looked at the numbers, and those are all the same numbers that appear in the audit report.
Do we need a motion to accept?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to accept the financial report of the town and forward it to who?
It gets forwarded to the Department of Revenue
To the
Administration.
Department of Revenue of New Hampshire.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
And where do we need to sign this?
Right there on the front, on those,
Here?
nope, right.
Oh. Sign that, well, or get Margaret to sign it. Okay. Sign permit, the Sportoma Columbus Day tent sale?
This is their annual request.
Right. Does anybody have a problem with them putting up a sign for the tent sale?
No.
All right. So did they submit an
They
application?
did,
How many signs are they putting up?
2.
Okay.
One out here at the
Yeah.
stop sign and one at Village Road.
I'm gonna make a motion to accept the Sportoma tent sale.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
We also have a sign request from Margaret, and it's fine with me. I'll make a motion to accept Margaret's sign.
Second.
Well, she can't vote. All those in favor, aye. All right. You know, there was a funny rumor that was floating around last night, the other night, I was playing golf. This is really goofy. That the rumor was that they were testing the chairlift up on the mountain, and that something malfunctioned, and it threw a chair through the side. What did they say, through the side of the lodge?
I didn't hear that
Oh,
one.
you didn't hear that one? I said, nah, it can't be. I said, I think I heard that the lift broke over on Snow's Mountain,
Yeah,
you know, but,
I'm sure it's,
but the message was that it threw a chairlift down, and it crashed through the side of the building.
Wow.
I don't think it's any truth.
no, I think that's probably, because the Snows Mountain lift threw the whole thing through the front of the building.
Right.
Right.
So it
yes,
makes sense
yeah,
that is Murph.
right. Yeah, they said it happened about a month ago, which is
Yeah.
when. Oh, you didn't hear that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
That's why I don't hang around the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're having a problem with the tower up on Tecumseh, too.
The
The cell
telephone?
phone tower,
They said it was gonna be, this is funny, the AT&T tower,
yeah. It's not an AT&T tower,
whatever-
they bounce off
whoever
of
it is, but someone came in and said, I spoke to them, it's gonna be fixed on the 20th, not the 19th, not the 21st. They say it will be fixed on the 20th.
I haven't called them yet
Yeah.
this week. So
Because
far,
you
I
can't.
have a $60 credit on my bill
Yeah.
because I have not been able to get.
Oh, this is
service up here.
AT&T?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they bounce off that tower and they,
Right.
they keep reporting to me that it's degraded, but they don't know when it'll be
Did you get the
fixed.
$6 credit for not having Showtime and CBS last month on your
No.
Time Warner?
Really? Did they give you a credit?
$6, $6.20.
I
But
don't
I had
have,
CBS last month.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
I don't have them anymore. I
Oh.
have Dish.
All right, here we go. The veterans credit application, we have somebody who's applying for a.
Does that person have to be a full-time resident and this is their primary residence to take advantage of that?
Yes, I believe she's been approved as
But
a
my
full-time
question is,
resident.
the mailing address is care of Burke 226 Rolling Hill Lane, Layton, Maryland.
It said,
That's their
Currently
mailing address.
stationed overseas, I believe.
Oh, he's
Oh,
retired.
no, she's retired.
Oh, she's retired
She's
now?
retired and it looks like her place of retirement was Waterville Valley, but this credit is going to somewhere else.
Well, I'm not gonna have you initial it until.
All right. We'll
Yeah,
confirm
she was-
that she is a resident? Okay,
You've approved her residency,
all right.
so
Okay, I just didn't know. Is this someone we approved recently?
it was probably 2 months ago.
Hmm.
Right, Beetle, Bettle,
Hmm,
it was recent,
I don't remember the name, but,
but
I don't know.
I'll check.
Okay, and you have something you want to talk about relative to personnel policies?
We had left it the personnel policy, yes.
Yeah, regarding,
There, as a credit card vendor, we have to have a policy for security of the personal information that is gathered as part of the
right,
credit card transactions.
Right.
And we have to have an official policy that's part of our personnel policy, and we have to do training. So there is a boilerplate format here for the policy that we're required to have, and we will conduct the training if you adopt this and make it part of our personnel policy.
okay. Does anybody have a problem? or-
I read it, it's fine.
Yeah, okay. Do I hear a motion then to adopt the credit policy as part of the town's personnel policies?
So moved.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So we want to talk about recreation. All right.
Nice dog,
You like it?
yeah.
Okay. So we had the public information meeting, and I was stunned by the number of people that actually showed up. I was very surprised. That we got that level of attendance, but whatever. And so we're at the stage now of having to decide. We're still down to the final stage of trying to decide whether to move forward with this or not. So why don't we just pause a minute and we'll talk a bit about what did we hear in the meeting, if anything, that so we are all on the same wavelength.
Well, I think that the meeting was a really good idea because I think there were a lot of rumors circulating about what actually was going to happen. And I think that in particular, we had a lot of parents show up because they thought we were going to discontinue the after-school program, and that we
Right.
kind of set their minds at ease that we were just handling it a different way. And I thought overall that the public was supportive of the idea of what we were going to do going forward. And I think that they want to see more things for, our teens and for our adults. Those were the messages that I got out of it.
Okay, Mike?
I heard a bunch of things. One of the things that I heard that I haven't processed yet, one of the things I was gonna ask about this, I was thinking that it might be a good idea for those involved in the meeting to write down what they heard about it and bring back what they heard so we can share. I find that when I sit and write, I get a better perception and I can sit and think more clearly about what I'm doing. But one of the things I heard that I thought was different than what I expected was the school component in it, how the school people the kids are moving away, the school is asking for additional programming for the kids that aren't doing sports in other towns and things like that. And I think we might want to talk with the school about underwriting part of the recreation after school program.
Okay. Yeah, I was not surprised, but I was, and Gail's perspective I thought was interesting to
Yeah.
me. That she, brought up that, well, we have, a number of people that take advantage of the current one, but a lot of kids don't take advantage of it, because they're either out doing some other things. And I had gathered from her conversation that she was very supportive of the idea of trying to start some specific programs that fill in gaps where the school can't do them. Like I know the school no longer can teach music, or in some of these subjects because they don't. For them, if they teach it, they need a certified instructor. I think, somebody who's certified by the state. If the rec department does it, we don't need to do that. And I'm wondering if there isn't some more synergies like that. Because I guess they've stopped the foreign languages and a number of things, right? Because they can't get teachers anymore, or they can't get certified teachers. And the suggestion was, well, maybe we could hire somebody to do that on the rec side. And I think if that made sense, I think some of those things ought to be explored. That's along the lines of starting some programs specifically for the kids that are attending the school, in the after-school program. I got a lot of feedback after the meeting from adults, and in terms, and I thought that Sullivan summed it up pretty nicely, when he said that, what we've got is generally people that are satisfied with what we're doing for kids, and that we're not doing much for adults, and we need to maybe think about adding some stuff. I had a number of people who sent me emails or talked to me after me, said they just question, is the person we're hiring qualified to come up with stuff for adults, or should we be looking for someone who specifically has experience in that area? So that's the only, and I think maybe one or two people in the meeting might have mentioned that, but I find with the adults is they won't say anything negative in the meeting. They'll catch me after, but they won't tell you in public, you know, that I keep telling them, if you're not willing to stand up in public, your voice is not gonna get heard. I mean, it's part of the problem. But that's the one thing that I did hear, the question of, you know, is this the right individual, you know, in terms of getting this stuff done. So, where are we right now? We're gonna have to reach a decision whether to move forward with this or not, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I would, well, from my perspective, I would recommend to the board that we take a couple of steps. I mean, I think that we understand that there's a desire to have more adult programming. I'd like to try to do that within the context of who we have on staff right now. Find out, as you and I have talked about, Bill, if there is going to be truly support and interest in ongoing programs. And try to start developing those things. So I think we ought to take 3 steps. Number one, we ought to have a board motion to, if you want, move Tom over here, start doing the IT things. That was part of this that didn't get a whole lot of discussion, but I think everybody is kind of in favor of doing that with the IT stuff that we need to do here. So I would ask that be the first thing we do, is if you want to, that we move forward with that and move the pay and benefits for Tom out of the rec and into admin. Number 2, that we implement these 2 coordinators, the youth coordinator, the teen adult program coordinator positions as part-time positions, that we start developing our adult programming, see what kind of feedback we get. I already have meetings scheduled for September 27th with folks who couldn't be at the meeting last week. They're interested in, they're going to watch the Ustream copy and then they're going to come in and give feedback. That we continue for the fall and into the winter to try to set up programs that are used by adults. We want to coordinate with the Mountain. There's interest, the Hockey Academy and the Mountain are interested in teen programming. We've got to try to develop something and see what happens throughout the fall. Put in place our new after-school process that we want to have with the 2 days and the 3 days. And then when it comes to budget season, we'll do an evaluation of what's happening. And if we see that, if we feel that, you know, we don't have the right people in place, then I think if we're going to go out and try to get, I mean, I don't know, are people looking for a private trainer that can work one-on-one with adults and help them that way? Are they looking for someone who can, who has some sort of physiology degree or physical therapy degree? Are we looking for someone who has some certification in athletic center management? So we need to answer those questions. I don't think we can answer those right now. Do we even know what we're looking for really in this person to coordinate the adult and teen programs? Corey is a proven member of our staff. She's worked for us for several years. She has municipal related degrees. They're not recreation degrees, but she has a bachelor's degree. She's getting a master's degree. So we thought that she'd be a good fit for this. She was already on staff. She knows the community. So I was surprised, Bill, to hear that comment about her because, I think that,
again, you got to probably most adults don't know her.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't even know who she is.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
so
understand. But anyway, that's our thought process in
That's her
selecting her.
challenge.
that is her challenge.
Evaluation period,
Yep.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to implement it and then come in like October 23rd and December 11th meetings. That gives us a month and a half or so. Give you guys an update. Mike, we've talked about the fee structure. You asked about the fee structure. I think, we're all in agreement that some kind of a tiered fee structure. Bill, you've talked about getting at least half of the cost of different programs back, trying to do that. On the revenue side, we can
Depends on the
evaluate.
nature of what
Right,
the
no,
program is.
I understand, but we'll try to do things like that.
Yeah.
And
Let's back up, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
Yeah, let's take a couple things. One, and I'm gonna just speak for myself. I'm in favor of the move with Tom.
Mhm.
My proposal would be that we go ahead with what you're proposing and set a target of one, that we'll come back and evaluate this 1 year from today.
Okay.
I don't think that you have any chance of doing any reasonable evaluation between now and October.
Yeah.
So I think if we're gonna commit, we need to commit and give it a time period. I am most interested in results.
Mhm.
How many people participate is what matters to me, and I think if we set a time frame of a year and said, we're gonna measure on all of these things, how many people show up, blah, 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 blah. After a year, we'll have a much better idea, as to whether this is working or not working. And then from there, make a decision whether we continue this or whether we need to go down some other route, would be my recommendation at this stage. As I think about it, that's just my personal feeling. I don't think trying to get anything between now and October is just not enough time. You couldn't get anything done.
I'm fine with that, I just wanna make sure we're communicating
Right.
soon enough.
So that it effectively would be in the next budget cycle. This is going to take the rec department budget and put it in line with what I think is, what I've always felt is kind of reasonable, I think, and I'm willing to give it a shot, so. I don't know who she is. I have no idea whether she's capable of pulling off. I think she's got quite a challenge. I'm going to say that. But to be fair, we're going to have to give them some reasonable period of time to
Yeah,
try to get something done.
Absolutely.
Or it's just unfair.
Yep, fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yes, I
okay with
agree
you,
with
Rachel?
Bill's sentiment.
Right. So a year from now, when we get into next year's budget cycle, what we need on the adult side, and we really need on all of these, what's the level? I'm always interested in how many people are participating. What's the program? How many people are coming? I think Tech at the Rec. If we've got 15 people showing up for that, or 5 people showing up for that, that's wonderful. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not sure I know what adult recreation is, and I don't think the adults know. That's part of the problem. Because I've been through this. I get dragged to these yoga classes, and I'll last about 4 sessions. And then my wife just drops out. Because it's hard work to keep going to yoga sessions.
Yeah.
Can we
So I don't
also-
know the answer.
Can we also get a written proposal from SE Group that Bill Cantlin's been working with, and get an outside evaluation of the department?
I am not in favor of doing that at this stage in time. That's just going to unnerve. I don't know who this SEC group people is, and I don't know why we need to hire a consultant at this stage. I think we ought to focus on, you got the adults, meet with them, what can you come up with, and can you make it work? Can we get some results?
Yeah.
And we'll see from there.
As a suggestion that I would make, Rachel, really keep track of what you're doing, what you're trying,
Right.
how you've implemented it, because maybe there might be some expertise in the valley that can help you achieve your goals.
Right.
But where
Yeah,
if we kind of know what you tried, what didn't work.
Sure.
You
And
come to
sure-
us and let us know, maybe we can help you.
And things like, I went and watched after there was people yelling about pickleball. I figured out what that is, and if we could get people to play pickleball in the gym, it's fine with me. You know, I mean, if that's what they want to do, I assume you could buy the stuff for a couple of grand or something and be in business, you know?
No, and I just noted, I just came from the Ray Center annual meeting, which was a couple of weeks ago. And they were able to brag that they served 10,000 people
That's, you gotta
during the
count
prior
numbers.
year. I
Yeah.
mean, they had those sheets up at
Yeah,
every event they had
absolutely.
and had people sign in and
The
do all that
single most
type of
important
thing.
thing is to count heads and
Yeah.
bodies that
Yeah.
participate.
We have all those.
We
Yeah, I
have all
know
those
you do.
numbers.
Right.
I know you do. But keep it up. Keep
Yeah,
it up
and,
because
and we've
that's,
gotta get it visible, yeah. Okay, so we go on a one-year trial. And what we'll do is debate this again, and you need to make a note, 1 year from today, as we start getting in the next budget cycle, not next year's.
Right, 2015.
Right.
Right.
We need to, again, take a look at where we're at and what's working, what's not working, and I wish you all the luck in the world. I particularly, you know, with the kids, I mean, if we can start a foreign language, you know, afternoon, or a music afternoon, art, any of those things would be wonderful.
and on the foreign languages, as several people brought up, that can be an intergenerational thing. There are probably some adults that would like to learn some of that too. So.
Yeah, I know that somebody said that somebody asked Jim, would he be willing to teach Spanish, and he says, the kids, you gotta be crazy.
We actually reached out to the folks at the academy,
Yeah.
stuff like that, because there's about a handful of teachers that Spanish, French.
Yeah, and Sally's down there, and she can teach music.
And we have Laurel.
We have Laurel at the school
All
that
right.
teaches
That teaches
music
music.
after.
She actually does the
After
after
school.
school
She does after
music.
She's doing some of that.
Yeah.
So, and I thought there was a wonderful suggestion on Gail's part, is to try to get, as best we can, some of that coordinated, you know? Because some of that, you might be better off running those programs than her, because you don't need certified, I bet for her to do anything, she has to have somebody certified in the subject.
Yeah.
And you don't need that, you know?
But Laurel's teaching that on her own. Right? Yeah, she's separate
Well,
from
then,
the
that's why it's
school at
after
the time.
school, so it's
Yeah.
not part of the
Right,
school.
it's not part of school.
Okay. All right,
Great.
okay.
I have two quick things for you. You voted at the last meeting on are we done with rec?
And we are. Correspondence, I think we're done. Privilege of the
Thank
floor, board concerns. Go ahead.
We discussed and you voted to accept the MS1 document. I did not
Right.
have a hard copy of the document at that time. So if you could sign beside your names, this is the document that you
Okay.
voted on at the last meeting. We submitted electronically now, but I'd like to have a hard copy in the file.
We need to go into non-public.
Well, no, we got.
Board
No, no.
concerns and directives.
I got
Well,
it.
we have that letter from the Hockey Academy.
Yes, we have the
Yes.
letter from the Hockey Academy.
And I had one question on their request.
Mhm.
Based on the guidelines we have that, not bilge pump, what is it, a brine pump?
Brian.
Mhm.
What is the lifespan of that? It's a $6,000 item, but it's a 10-year item, that's where we're in that.
We're in the gray area on
On-
that
on
one. The brine pump, they could last, we probably have had this one for 15 years or more. But again, I
They had a
saw,
brine pump fail.
they're doing routine maintenance on their brine pump.
Oh,
And
so
then
they have two-
they found something and they need to fix it. And that's what the $6,000
Is
is.
to fix the brine pump.
Yes,
They have two, one's not
they have
working.
two, one's not working right now.
Okay.
The,
And what's your reading of the contract here?
The reading of the contract is that a capital item was defined as something that has an extended useful life of 10 years or more and cost in excess of $15,000.
I think this is theirs.
I think the brine pump is theirs and I think the compressor.
Because it's not an
is
and
ours.
or, it's an and.
Right,
Yeah, so it had to meet both criteria,
That's right.
right, yeah, okay.
I agree.
The
So,
other item they want to fix
compressor major overhaul of $24,000.
is in your experience,
Yeah.
this is something that needs to be done?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be doing it if we owned.
We do own it.
it. but I mean, if we were operating it, we would be doing this. We did it on an annual, or not an annual basis.
Do
but
we
on a
need, if
recurring
we
basis.
authorize the expenditure, the 24,000, do we
Yeah.
need to raise additional capital at the next
No, it's
meeting
in
to
the
put this
money
back in the
we-
fund?
No, we have $150,000. It would be up to you whether or not we put the money back in or not and keep it at 150. We created that capital reserve account for any capital item.
I
Like if
understand
the
that,
roof
but it
comes-
was done specifically to give them assurances that we would raise the capital.
That's right.
Is there
There is no
any reason
requirement.
why, I know there's no requirement, but why would we not then go to the town and say, we are looking for, we've had to replace an item, it's $24,000. And we think that, given the success of the program so far, it would be to give us the authority to go back to the 150, or otherwise we'd be short.
But doesn't their tax payment go into that fund to
No.
replace the 150?
No,
I thought the money they were
Yeah.
paying in taxes went
Well,
into our capital
It
reserve.
goes into general reserves.
No, it goes
Just
into
goes
the general fund.
income.
Yeah, but I thought,
it was
We-
not specific.
but I thought we kind of put it aside to credit
Right,
for them. So
We don't physically separate it out.
Right.
It has the net effect of doing
Right.
that, but we do not actually make an accounting entry into that
But it
account.
isn't
We
in the
put
budget.
150 in there,
Right.
period,
But isn't it about 25,000 a year?
over the life of the lease.
No, 25, what, how much
is
are the
is how
taxes a
the
year?
incremental taxes we're receiving
That's
as a result
correct.
of making
It's
this
It's
transfer.
about 25,000.
Right, so
Right.
we're, in a sense, we're replacing the money we're expending.
Right, I know what
That's
he's
right.
saying,
Yes, right.
So I don't think we need to go to the town for it.
We do need to go to the town. Because, well, I think we need to go to a town to get approval. Taxes come in
Okay.
as taxes.
Okay,
Right.
to spend it, but we don't need to go ask for another 25,000 from the town.
We technically don't.
I
But
think I know.
but we would then only be able to authorize an improvement of 125.
I got you.
Now, we don't have to do it this year, but
Right.
at some point in time, the next time, I don't know,
I
could
think
we
it would
get
be prudent to keep that at as close to 150
50
as we
possible.
can.
We don't have to debate it today, but
No,
we ought to
no.
when we do it.
Right.
Because I'd rather do it in little bits and
Oh, yeah,
chunks,
that's-
rather than say, oh, by the way, now we need another 100, because we spent over the last 4 years this amount.
See, but we could say to them, we need 100, but we've taken in this much.
Well,
And
we
that
will.
was- And that was our goal. was
Right,
to
then
take
our
in this
goal,
top
right,
side.
yeah,
Okay.
so,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, so you would need a motion to
I'll
expend
make a-
24,000.
I'll make a motion to authorize the expenditure of 24,000 to rebuild the compressor pump at the ice arena. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, we need to go to non-public?
One more thing, before we go to non-public. You asked at the last meeting, Bill, about the cemetery.
Yes,
There's 141 plots in
okay,
the cemetery. 4 of those plots are unusable because the drainage coming down off the mountain is such that we,
only suitable for
cannot-
above ground
right,
burial.
above ground burials, tombs.
Mausoleum.
Mausoleums, sorry. So 4 of those are not usable. So we in effect have 137 plots.
Plots, but these are
Which-
casket-sized plots.
That's correct. They can either have 1 casket or 4 cremated remains.
And what is our rule in terms of allowing caskets versus cremated remains? Do we have any rules?
They only get 1 casketed remain in a plot, or they get 4 cremated remains.
So you could buy a family plot.
You buy a family plot, if everybody gets cremated, there's 4 of you,
Right.
you're all in that 1 plot. However,
Not to be rude
no,
or
no,
crude.
I'm
Can
not.
you buy quarter shares?
No, you
No.
cannot. No, you
Okay.
cannot.
No, I just
And,
wanted.
and the other thing about that, Mike, I'm
Yeah.
glad you asked that, because when a family buys a plot, they automatically are eligible for an adjacent plot.
Oh,
Yeah, so you're really, where, we don't sell it at the time, but we create the ability of
For them,
someone
yeah.
to buy the
Once-
lot, the
one-
plot next to it.
If once one family member, like if I died,
Yes,
Sandy moves away, so-and-so,
Yes.
she buries me there,
yes.
so that when she dies, she's entitled to be buried
She
next
is
to me?
entitled to
Yes,
be buried
even though she's
adjacent
moved
to you,
away.
Even though she's moved
Right.
away. Now, If you're
Okay.
both casketed, you each get a plot.
Right.
Now,
So we've been adding bodies at what rate here?
well, we currently have 62 plots that are being used or are
And we have about
reserved.
2 a year or something, a couple a year?
We've been two or three a year.
2 or
Yeah.
3 a year. So we've
And
got 20.
So we're 45% used in numbers of plots right now.
Now, let me ask you another dumb one.
Yep, no, I think
Okay,
it's important
Bill
to have
passes
these
away.
conversations. Yeah,
He's casketed.
yes,
Sandy gets the next thing.
Yeah.
She's casketed.
yes.
Does she have the right for the next one over, for the kids?
Our regulations are not that detailed.
Yeah, no,
I think
I'm
it's
just-
open to interpretation. I would say that somebody could make an argument that one of the children could be buried next to Sandy.
Right, but then it would continue in
I know,
perpetuum as
well,
perpetuity.
there are families that have 6 plots up there.
Yeah.
Because of the way folks were buried.
Yeah,
and the
I
adjacent
think we could
plots.
probably, I don't know, I guess down the road, discourage that kind of having generational,
All right,
intergenerational.
now, here we go with another one.
I-
Say I own the plot and I've been cremated.
Mhm.
Everybody else is gone, they're just,
Right,
can I let someone else in my 3 remaining who's not a family member?
our regulations are silent on that.
Okay, so
It
you
would
could
be
just-
up to the board.
Yeah. Someone's a really close friend, maybe. No, that's the point. That
No,
you might talk to someone who was a single person
I
who was
understand,
cremated, and there might be 3 of
there are all kinds of these questions, and our regulations, we kept them purposely very simple, but they do raise a lot of questions sometimes when people come in like the request that we had.
Right.
And I think it's important that we think about these things, we don't have to necessarily address
All
them
right,
right
so
now,
it, no, I don't
But
think
you
we
asked
have
what
any
our
real
usage
urgency,
was.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what we've decided to do with that individual still is correct, and we
Sure.
send a letter,
Yep.
which is, we essentially
yeah.
said, if we have space, at the point in time you die, we'll take you.
Yep.
But, so if we don't, we don't.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
nothing, you can't
And
buy
that
it
is on
now.
file. Yeah.
Right, can't
That
buy
is
it
on
now.
file. Yep. But you
And
asked
no
about
one,
usage.
no one can buy
And I
this
didn't
in
know,
advance.
so that's the
No.
first time I've counted them, and that's, I think it's.
All
kind of
right, but I don't
vital,
think there's any,
45%.
any need to approach the Haws about,
No,
will you
not
sell
yet.
us another
No.
acre, or
No,
besides which, that's gonna fall in the river anyway, that acreage.
Right, when he
Sometimes.
cuts down all the trees.
It's slowly
It's
falling
slowly
in
falling
now.
even
Well,
with the
maybe we
trees.
can attach the tree ordinance to the cemetery.
Yeah,
If you cut down your trees, you're not
Well,
gonna be buried.
I do think that we need to, maybe have a conversation with the Sununus.
Yeah.
To try to put some drainage, even if it's on their property, maybe they could grant us an easement, and put some money in the 2014 budget and do some underground drainage, like French drains or something along that upper
Mhm.
edge of the cemetery,
Yeah.
because everything is sliding
Yeah,
down, and
and that's the Sununu's property up there?
Yeah.
it's a Sununus, yeah,
John.
Right,
John's.
and it's
Yeah.
sliding down because he cut his trees down.
Well, no, it was before that, it's been, it was exacerbated by
Yes,
that,
right.
but it was
It's
happening
subdivided.
before.
No,
But it is something that I think we should put some money
okay.
into the budget.
All right,
So-
we now need to go into non-public.
Non-public.